I think I was on mute for that. So we're going to get started in a couple of more minutes. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today, we're going to talk about reviving your forms. We're going to talk about DARIAN and what it can do and how it connects to Adobe Experience Manager Forms environment. In today's session, this will be recorded. If you are uncomfortable with that, then please drop off. You will still get the link and you will be able to view it afterwards. If you want this link to be shared with others inside your organization, please let us know. We'd be happy to create your version that you can share out. My name's Eric Stevens. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Engagement with 4Point. Been with 4Point a while. I am one of the founding architects of digital forms. And in fact, part of what we talk about in DARIAN is the use of your existing form structures. And I helped push through that XML structure that is underpinning the forms that you use all the time. Been doing this a long time in a variety of different capacities. I have 3 dogs. I have Bella, Piper, and Buddy. And I love to cook. It's the way I just relax associated with work and all of that kind of stuff is just being able to sit down and put together food. So that's a little bit about me. What I want to talk about is the, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. There should be you should see a Q&A window there. You can open that up. You can ask any questions at any point in time. And those questions we'll address at the end of the session. I'm hoping to leave a little bit of time so that we can cover any questions that you might have. In addition, you can always reach out to us, marketing@4point.com. We'd be happy to cover any of your questions at that point in time. What I want to talk about first is what's holding forms back today. And you may say, well, that's a bit odd because forms are working just fine for me. But are they really? Are they really working for you? A lot of organizations we hear is, well, we're doing it this way and it's always worked this way and this way is the way we're doing it, but our users don't like it. Our business wants to do it a different way. People are looking to replace forms or get rid of forms. What they really mean is they want to get rid of the current experience that you've got because you can't get rid of the forms. You need the data captured. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, you need the document with that data in it and a digital signature or a physical signature. You need that document. So you need that process. What the issue is that the way we're asking people to fill out forms is really just not keeping up with the times and is really frustrating. And the way we refer to it is it's the 8.5 by 11 borders that we lock in. They're not responsive. They're challenging to fill out on mobile devices. You're forcing users into the lowest common denominator of print, fill, scan, or mail them in. Even if you've got a little bit of integration in there, it's still very, very limited. You have significant challenges with accessibility. We do a lot of work with a lot of companies helping them make their fillable PDF forms accessible, and compliant. And that's a challenge because even with modern tools, it's a real issue. And language barriers exist because if you hand somebody an English form, a French form, a Spanish form, they need to know that language. And a lot of English forms, that might not be their first language. And mobile experiences are tremendously challenging. So what this creates is scenarios where users are unhappy with the way that they're doing it, but organizations continue to force them to do it in exactly that same kind of way. What that does is you end up with high abandonment rates that you don't even know about because you can't track it because somebody downloaded the PDF to fill it out in Reader and then didn't. And you don't know. So you can track some of that and get some of that information, but it means that fundamentally you're not getting the engagement that you want, whether it's sales or whether it's just informational, whatever it is, you're not getting it. And that user is frustrated. And you have long completion times, challenging scenarios. We often go into organizations and help them redesign their forms to make them easier for people to fill out and clearer, right? We have privacy concerns because people are now filling that out. They're not sure where the data is going. They're not sure how it's being dealt with, right? And that all leads to operational inefficiencies. You're not as productive as you could be because people are calling customer support to say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do on this. I can't figure out what form I'm supposed to fill out, or they filled it out wrong. And you got it back in and went, this is all wrong. We have to contact that person and get them to redo it or get them to correct it. That just leads to frustration on the user's perspective, but it's also frustration on your perspective. This should have been a shorter process, an easier process. It should have been more productive, and it isn't. And so this is a struggle that every organization is facing. And so we've been looking at ways that we can create that will help you address that. And Adobe Experience Manager Forms is a central part of that. So let's talk a little bit about legacy forms and modern expectations. One of the challenges operationally is you have thousands of XML-based fillable PDFs. All right. We talk to organizations. We know one organization has almost 20,000 downloadable, fillable PDFs. And that's not counting the ones that should be easier to fill out, should be done as more sophisticated reader-based fillable forms, but are done in Acrobat or some other kind of a tool that is a really poor experience because it's not helping the user. It's not doing validations. It's not doing any checks, right? And rebuilding the forms and moving towards a better, more responsive, more interactive style, moving to something that moves away from the 8.5 by 11 boundaries is very challenging because often you have to recreate many different things. It's a completely different paradigm. It gives you a lot more flexibility. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but it can still be challenging. And users are expecting intelligent, voice-enabled guided experiences. You can see with the use of AI-based tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, that users are embracing that kind of way of communicating. And legacy forms lack accessibility, they lack analytics, so you can't track the abandonment rate and that modern UI. And it all comes down to is that historically, organizations have tied data capture to the presentation layer. It has to look exactly like the paper document. Let's just recreate the paper document. Those things can be separate. And that's what DARIAN brings to the table, is the ability to separate those different things and add more value to the filling experience while retaining that compliant document output experience. Let's explore a little bit more about what we mean by voice forms and the product DARIAN that provides you with these voice capable. It allows you to fill out forms with your voice. You can also type as you would in ChatGPT, and you're going to see a demonstration of that. So you can fill it out, but you can have a conversation. And that's a really critical part of it, is now I'm filling out a form as part of a normal conversation. It's asking me what it needs so that it gets all the right things so that the form is filled out correctly and properly, producing that compliant document that you need, that the signature has to go on, giving you exactly that. And it's doing so using the rules that you've already encoded inside of those files that are controlling it, those templates, right? This means it's faster and more inclusive. It supports accessibility. Imagine, okay, if I'm visually impaired, and actually I'm slightly visually impaired, if I'm visually impaired and I can't read the form properly, I can use screen readers, but those are challenging too. So now I can talk to it. It's talking to me. That's a mobile first scenario. And it's multilingual so that I can use the language of my choice to fill out the form regardless of the language of the form, so that you can still provide an English-based form or French or Spanish or Mandarin or whatever form you're providing, but I can use my language to fill it out, and that makes that a better experience. And we can integrate it using Adobe Experience Manager Forms. We can integrate it with your existing systems. So now where you got a disconnected scenario and you have to receive a piece of paper and you have to scan it, extract the data, merge the data into your other systems, have a quality control scenario, we've got the data. We've got the data on the server. Now we can use anything that AEM can do, which is a lot. So what is DARIAN? It's a custom form agent designed to interpret the XML data that is in those fillable PDF forms. We're going to talk about that format a little bit more later on, okay? And we take that information, and what it lets us do is add intelligent guidance, voice enabled completion, and context-aware capabilities. If you've got help text in that form, DARIAN knows about it. So when the person asks, what's this field about? DARIAN has that information and can provide it. One of the demonstrations we do is a form has 6 pages of instructions of what you do with this completed form and what documents you need to have in support of this completed form. DARIAN knows all of that. So you can ask it, where am I supposed to send this form? You can ask it, what documents am I going to need? Because all of that was in there. DARIAN can communicate that. So now it's a much deeper, richer experience. It's built for enterprise scale. Using Adobe Experience Manager, we can interconnect it with all your systems so that we can move that data to where it needs to be, pass it around, integrate it with other systems, and add value to that entire data capture experience. And that improves data accuracy. It improves the user experience. It just makes it easier. It just makes it a better experience, a more modern experience, and you get better data with less effort. That saves you money. Now let's talk about DARIAN and AEM and how these two things link together to bring real powerful capabilities associated with it. First, let's talk a little bit about Adobe Experience Manager Forms and what those are. I suspect many of you are experienced with AEM Forms, but I want to do a little bit of an overview because there may be ways that you're using it that AEM supports that you didn't know about. So first off is it's smart eForms. It allows you to deploy fillable forms in multiple different scenarios. I'll talk about those a bit later, but beyond just downloaded PDFs. We have organizations that take those same XDPs, those same templates, and use those to get an HTML filling experience. We have customers where we're building them adaptive form experiences that guide a user through the completion process. And all of these are capable within the AEM environment so that you can fill out and provide to your users ways to fill out forms in ways that make sense for them. And it has automation and data integration so that we can take that data that was filled out and we can put it in the right system that needs it, regardless of what that system is. We've connected to mainframe environments, simple databases, complex REST APIs, a wide range of different environments. So this gives us a lot of power and capability to do more with that data and reduce the effort associated with capturing those forms and processing them in different ways. And it has strong compliance capabilities. You can get an Adobe supported FedRAMP environment for your AEM Forms environment. If you're in the US in a federal or state environment, that can be a critical factor in moving forward with a secure, protected environment. If you're dealing with HIPAA compliance in the US, then you can create a scenario, create a system where it is fully HIPAA compliant. You can add all of those capabilities in. So that's a really, really strong level of functionality. And that gives you responsive design across different devices so that we can create a form that is secure, compliant, allows you to fill it out in a browser or fill it out on a mobile device or both. And you have flexible deployment options. You can put it in your cloud, you can run it in an Adobe managed service cloud, and you can use it as an Adobe cloud service. Each one of those has advantages and disadvantages. There was a previous webinar where I talked about those different options. So you should have a look at that if you're interested in understanding those other options. Some key features is adaptive forms, the ability to have a modern user experience, a responsive user experience that works on mobile devices, that brings together the capabilities that people expect, that actual logic associated with how a form should behave. If I check this box, I have to answer these two questions. If I don't check this box, I don't even see those questions. That kind of behavior, which doesn't get implemented on fillable PDFs as much as it should, even though it's possible. Interactive communications, the ability to have a support organization, a customer service organization that can produce highly customized and personalized letters, documents, and communication to individuals while maintaining compliance and regulatory control. We can say, for this letter, in this situation, these clauses must be there, but you can type anything you want in here. Or data insertion automatically in it so that that customer service representative is only reviewing the content and making sure that it aligns with the phone conversation that they had. And we've got security and compliance where we can add digital signatures, form validations, data encryption across it. The ability to add and link digital signatures with completed forms is a really powerful capability for you to create an end-to-end loop that's all electronic, all digital. No paper has to be produced. AEM lets you do that, right? And you can automate the workflows using multiple different tools such as the AEM workflow built in or Adobe Workfront, where you can pass it off and use an approval workflow that you've built in Workfront. And if you're using other workflow tools, we can use data integration and binding to be able to tie those things together to invoke a REST service and pass that data over so that your other workflow solution is handling it the way that it wants. And one of the core capabilities is document generation and management. The ability to take data, merge it in with the template to create a document of record that is compliant and is what you're expecting. And a lot of organizations use AEM in that scenario to produce a wide range of different documents. Now, one of the cores of AEM is the XDP format. That is the template format. And many of you are familiar with it, but for those of you that aren't, it is a detailed form specification. It is a blueprint. It includes information about the layout. This field is located here, about pagination and flow, about these radio buttons are connected together, but these radio buttons are also connected together, but they're separate, and these are different groups. How the data goes. It has rules and validations inside it. If this was selected, then these fields are mandatory. If this was not selected, they're not. If you select this option, you must fill out section A, D, and E. All of that is capable inside the XDP environment. This allows for dynamic content, meaning the form can change its layout, length, behavior based on the data entered in the user. We have one customer who's using this, and it starts out with a single field. The single field is what country are you in? And you select the country that you are in, and suddenly the form populates. This is a fillable PDF form filled out in Acrobat Reader that dynamically adjusts its capabilities based on the questions and answers that are received. It can range, it's a commercial loan application, from 10 pages to 70 pages in length, depending on all of the different pieces that people are putting into it. That's what an XDP gives you. It is specifically designed for digital forms. It is an extremely powerful format. This is the tool that the AEM designer lets you create. It designs these pieces, and what that lets you do is separate data from presentation. These are dynamic, reusable templates that are used for output and for fillable capabilities and for HTML rendering. They're not used for adaptive forms. That's a different architecture, but XDPs have all of that information encoded in them. Why do we want to use that? Because all the rules and specifications are in one place. They're incredibly powerful, and you've got thousands of them. You've got them in your organization today. Every organization that we go to their forms catalog, we look at their forms catalog, and well, there is. Download it. You need Reader to fill this out. Okay. They're used internally extensively. Oh, everybody has Reader, so they just open the form that they want to fill that out, and then hit a submit button, and then it goes in and is processed. There's incredibly wide use. With DARIAN, we're adding voice and AI capabilities to the XDPs, the same forms you use today. It's easy to update them, and they're the foundation for compliant, reusable documents. When we merge the data into that template, the same template you would download and fill out in Reader, you get the compliant document with that data in it. And the combination of adding voice capabilities on top of the power of an XDP environment linked to Adobe Experience Manager Forms gives us a tremendous combination to improve the capabilities of what you're providing. Let me talk a little bit about form options. So if you're talking an AEM Forms environment, we really split it into the data capture and the document generation sides. And we talked about adaptive forms. Those are mobile capable, responsive forms, work well in a browser, but you also have fillable download for offline capabilities. That's your XDP, fillable XDP coming down. HTML5 fillable for online. That's another option to give people a form-like experience. It looks like the page, but it is inside the browser. It works perfectly inside the browser. It has validations associated with it. And all of those are intended to lead to document generation, whether it is communication, whether it is letters, whether it is compliant documents that need digital signatures, whatever it happens to be, including print documents. There are still organizations that are sending documents for print. If they're doing that, AEM Forms is a great option. Where DARIAN fits in that architecture is it is in addition to all of these capabilities. It is in addition to all of the data capture capabilities. It doesn't replace any one of those. All of those are still viable options depending on what you want to offer to your users. DARIAN adds to that. It augments what you've got. Our vision is that that's going to sit as a button on your Forms portal. There's going to be a fill the form out in a browser, download a form to fill it out, or have a conversation. Let the AI help you fill out this form, and that's DARIAN, an extra option that you can give to your users to make their experience better. So now let's dive a little bit into the architecture and how these things connect together. There's really three components. There is your Forms portal, there's Adobe Experience Manager Forms, and then there is the AI. And in the demonstration, I'm going to use OpenAI. That's going to be the piece that's going to give us voice. It's going to give us the guidance that we want associated with it. On the Forms portal, there are DARIAN-specific components that handle the voice interaction, the experience inside of the browser. That's very lightweight. It's designed to fit into your portal. So again, you can put that button or a link or whatever it is in your Forms portal. And then that talks to Adobe Experience Manager Forms. That does a lot of the heavy lifting. That is storing the templates, those XDPs that we talked about. It's storing the configuration. It's handling the communication to OpenAI using your licenses and your permissions associated with AI so that you know your data is protected all the way through this system. None of this is 4-point. None of this resides on any of our servers. This is not something custom custom AI that we built or a custom model that we built, and you don't need to train it. You do not need to train the AI. What it does is takes that template, all of that specification, those rules, and instructs the AI on how to conduct the conversation. Then it interacts back and forth. Then when you're finished, there's a generation. So we're generating those document of records with that data that you want, and we can invoke a workflow. So how does that fit in terms of your experience? Well, your form templates are used to get the form templates. Your form templates are used to talk to the AI, to instruct the AI on how it should conduct the conversation. And then that same template, the compliant document that you've created as this is what it has to look like, we take the data, merge it in, and AEM produces that document of record and returns it back to the user. So with all of that, what I want to do is give you a bit of a demonstration. I want to show you a couple of different things. So let me bring up first, I want to show you a form. This is Adobe Experience Manager Designer. Should look familiar to quite a few of you. And this is a form. This is the form I'm going to use. This is a beneficiary designation form. And as you can see, this is inside of the form designer. I can go in, I can check on it, I can look on field information associated with it. So this is 11 characters because the social insurance number is 11 characters. This is a Canadian document, so it's limited that way. It has other pieces of information and text associated with it. This is going to produce the compliant document. This could be turned into a fillable PDF that you download using Reader. Absolutely, it can be done. This can be turned into an HTML form that looks the same as this and allows the person to fill it out, but has validations, has confirmations, has edit checks, and all of those kinds of things. But what we're going to do is we put it inside of a demonstration environment, which I'm going to show you here. So this demonstration environment, this is internal and we built it for ourselves, but what it is an emulation, a sample, if you will, of what a Forms portal might look like. Your portal's different and your portal works in your web environment, completely different environments, but this shows off the capabilities. And so what I've got inside here is I have that same RESP beneficiary designation form, and I'm going to fill it out. So let's start it. Now, a couple of notes. We made no changes to that form in order to be able to use it in DARIAN. Exactly from that designer, and we put it in there. All right. Some of your forms may require some changes, okay, or improvements. You may want more help text. You may want more other things. So we can help you, guide you on that. But the XDPs work as is, and you can put them in. I'm using an OpenAI license that is a very low-cost license for our demonstration purposes, so there may be some lag inside of the AI conversation. So now what I'm going to do is down here, there's a little button with the voice. Now I can type in here as I would for ChatGPT or Gemini or Microsoft Copilot. I can type back and forth. All right. So what I'm going to do is, notice it's provided that information, is I'm going to start the voice conversation.
Welcome to the RISP Beneficiary Designation Form. We'll begin by entering the family RISP account number and answering whether you wish to make a request, yes or no. What is your family RISP account number, and do you wish to make a request, yes or no.
The RESP number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to add a new beneficiary.
Thanks. Let's continue. Please tell me the surname and first name of the subscriber.
My name is Eric Stevens, and my social insurance number is 9987654321. There is no co-subscriber.
Great, I've recorded your name and SIN. Now let's designate your new beneficiary. Please say the beneficiary's first name, last name, and their SIN.
The beneficiary to add is Bella Stevens. The social insurance number is 8887654321. Her date of birth is January the 1st, 1987. Her address is 1234 Meadow Drive, Greeley, Ontario, Canada, K4P1A4. She is my daughter. She is female. I do not want the trustee to request grants.
Bella Stevens has been added as your beneficiary. Next, are there any more beneficiaries you want to list, or should we continue?
We should continue. There are no other beneficiaries I wish to add.
Thank you. Are all beneficiaries listed siblings of each other? Please answer yes or no.
Yes, they are.
Almost done. I now need the date and your signature to finalize the form. Please state today's date and confirm that you are ready to sign as the subscriber.
Today's date is November 20th, 2025. You can use my name in the signature, and I am ready for the PDF.
Thank you, Eric. Your information is complete and ready. To confirm, you want to go ahead and create the PDF now, correct? Please say yes to proceed.
Yes.
Your RESP beneficiary designation form is now complete and ready to generate as a PDF. Thank you, Eric. If you need anything else, let me know.
So now what we've got is a generated PDF. I can open that document. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see. What we've got is that form filled out exactly as was required with all the pieces in there. Okay. I could have added more beneficiaries. As you can see that there's space for that. All right. And it is ready for me to print and sign as needed. I can also print this and add extra pieces to it. And if I wanted to make changes to it, I could also make changes to it. I can go back into that conversation and adjust as needed. So what we've seen here is that integration between the client side and AEM, bringing AI conversations to this form filling experience to make it easier for us to do that. So what we showed there was the separation of data capture and presentation, where I could capture the information in a completely different way than the way that I want it presented. But the presentation is still a compliant document. It's the document that you need, that you want. We used AI to create a conversation so that we could use voice and it would ask us the questions. I don't have to figure out the prompts. I don't have to figure out anything associated with it. And there's no guessing. The AI is not guessing because the business rules stay in your specification. That template that you got that you use today, that's driving the conversation and controlling the conversation. So that if you say this field is required, that field is required, and you can't get beyond that field. And if you got information, scripts, and rules in there that say if they check this, then these fields are required, it knows about that. And it's completely mobile ready. That's a conversation that I can have on my mobile device. I could have that in the car while I'm driving and it's asking me questions and I'm filling that out. It could be done on a call center phone. Somebody's calling into the call center and they're on hold and it says, if you're trying to fill out one of these forms, I can do that for you right now. How much would that reduce the amount of support effort of that person finding the right form and helping them through that process, right? So it gives you a lot of different options. And again, what we're saying is this is a new capability, a new option to consider adding. It is not a replacement for the other options unless you want it to be. Those other options still have their place. A couple of things I want to cover that we covered previously in other webinars, but I want to cover them again. How is this priced? And the way that this is priced is on a tiered licensing model based on the number of forms that you want to make available to internal or external users using DARIAN. It is not based on the number of users or how many times the form is filled out. It's only based on the number of forms that you want to make public associated with it. And there is enterprise tiers available for very high volumes for unlimited capabilities. So, and we start at 20 forms. So it's an easy way to start evaluating it. And in fact, I'm going to talk about a very, very easy way to do that. What do you need in terms of it? You need an up-to-date AEM environment, okay, on a supported service pack, okay. You need forms made in AEM Forms Designers, XDPs, okay, and an OpenAI license. That's what you need today. And you need a place where the users are going to go to get access to that form, a web content management, a website, a portal, where you're going to put the links to this to start DARIAN, as I did in the demonstration. One of the things that we put together to help people get started on this is a proof of concept starter pack. 20 forms. You're welcome to put them into production. It's intended for evaluation at a very low cost that you can try for 4 months. It includes our support to assist you with implementation, configuration, making sure it's all connected to AEM properly. It allows you to try out different forms, see how they work with it, connect it into a internal portal if you want, a dev portal, wherever you want to do it, to see the kinds of structure that you can put in place and to evaluate whether or not this is something that you should add. Also could be used by a technical or a forms team to show the business and say, this is a new capability we now have access to. Are you interested in? Is this something that you'd want to do? If you're interested in this, or if you have any questions whatsoever, please contact us, sales@4point.com or marketing@4point.com, and we'd be happy to get on a call with you, talk through your particular situation, talk through what your particular challenges are, and see if DARIAN is the right thing for the kinds of ways that you want your users, your customers to fill out your forms. And with that, I've covered everything that I want to cover today. So I'm going to open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A pod. I'm going to see if there's any questions. So one question folks have asked is, can DARIAN save the data and let the user continue at a later time? And yes and no. That is a deeper conversation, because where are we going to put the data? How are we going to deal with security issues? That's an infrastructure. Now, we can put that in place. That would be custom. It would work the way you want it to work. So we can absolutely do that for you. It's not inherent in DARIAN as a product, but DARIAN would use that. By the way, you could also have DARIAN and HTML forms use that, or DARIAN and adaptive forms use that. So if you want that kind of capability, we can make it broader than just a DARIAN kind of a scenario. Let's see what else. Can DARIAN pre-populate the data if the person is known? Yes, because AEM can connect that information, connect to your backend systems so that when the person starts it, then the data is already coming down, partially filled out. And DARIAN would know about that and be able to say, I don't need to ask you your address. Or perhaps what you want is you want the form changed so that it goes, this is your address, confirm it. Confirm that address. So there's a lot of things that we can do in there in the combination of data integration using AEM Forms, DARIAN's conversational capabilities, and what we can put inside of the XDPs, inside of those specifications, and link those two things together. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. No? With that, then thank you all very, very much. I really appreciate your time. If you do have any more questions or would like to have a direct conversation or a customized demonstration, please contact us, sales@4point.com. We'd be happy to chat with you. Thank you so much and have a great day.